Hey everybody, Colleen here with Artwork by Colleen. Today we're going to do Dale, which is obviously one of the chipmunks, which is Chip and Dale. And the way you can tell Dale is he has a red nose versus Chip, who has a black nose. Also, Dale has 2 teeth versus Chip, who has 1. Anyway, be that as it may, I'm starting out with the nose, and the way I did that was just to make an oval nose. I put a thin strip of white across it for like a little accent point, put thin red across that, and then covered it in black. Next, I'm going to do what I would call like the snout area, and I did that in a light colored, like a cream color. And I'm just kind of following the picture the way it goes. I put the teeth on there, which I did those with solid white, and then I covered them in black and put them up there. Now, the next section I did here was I put a piece of maroon in there, only I forgot to record that apparently because it's nowhere in my videos. But it's just a straight piece of maroon, and then I added a little bit of pink for the tongue, and then cover that in black as well. And then once the mouth was finished, then I went ahead and finished putting that cream color around it, which in turn was kind of like his lips, I guess, sort of, you would say. And I did that putting in there for the tooth so that you could see the little gap he has there, so it showed up really well. And then, excuse me, I'm so sorry. And then I covered that in black, and then I did started with the darker beige, which is like his chipmunk cheeks, which, you know, they call anybody that's a little chubby, they call them chipmunk cheeks for a reason, because they are kind of a chubby looking cheek. So I went with the darker tan for that. Right here you can see I'm adding in a little line for, it's supposed to be the smile line. Those definitely did not come out like smile lines in the end. So when I did Chip, I didn't even put him in at all because I didn't think it was really necessary. But anyway, continuing on after that, I continued to build up his cheeks and make them good and chubby. Just continuing to add pieces of the darker tan until I had the right amount, as you can see there. Just continuing to add on piece by piece to get it all in. Also, I wanted to state here that I did both cheek sides exactly the same, but I kind of didn't want to bore you with that. Also, along the top, before where his eyes go, the nose is covered in black, but initially I covered the whole thing in black and had to undo it some because the eyes have the black around them, but you want to continue that tan color all the way up and around in a continual fashion. You don't want to have a line split it, because that tan color, the darker tan color, goes around the eyes when they're done. So here I'm just putting the eyes together. The beginning of the eyes had a little tiny dot of white in it, and it also had the black around it, and then it had the white around that for the whites of his eyes. And then once those were both done, then you can see here that I had to cover it with that creamy color, or the darker color tan, not the cream one, but the darker color tan. And it's going to meet with the tan on the rest of his cheeks, so it looks like one continuous section and not pieced off. I didn't have to tell you about that, but I always tell you my mistakes because I don't want you guys to make the same mistakes. The rest of his cheeks are covered in black, just not straight across the top, just his nose. Now it's time to put in the darker tan, his fur color, which is the kind of the golden color fur. One of the things that I forgot to do when I was putting in this golden color here, I started putting it in, and just the way that the cheeks didn't go all the way to the chin, neither does the fur. And there's not a whole lot of coloring with the fur on his face because you've got the hat that's taking up the majority of the space. So after I put that first little bit of gold in there, I realized that if you look at the picture of him, you'll see part of the way up, just a little line that went across, which is supposed to kind of look like the crease of his nose. So it gives his nose a little bit of depth. I had forgotten to put that in, so I went ahead and added that in, and then I put the gold on top of it so that you got the idea of that piece of black there. So you can just see me putting that black piece in there. Once I put that in there, then I just was able to go ahead and fill the gold back up. Now here I'm making his hair So you can see that he's got like little pieces of hair like that come down from the hat. So I'm just covering pieces of gold in the black because I wanted to stick out as pieces of hair. And I'm going to go back and finish filling in the rest of the gold between his eyes. Once I see how much of the black and gold, the little pieces of hair take up here, then I'll see what I have left to fill up with the fur. Since there isn't a whole lot of definition for his fur, I feel like it's kind of important to get these little bangs, let's call them bangs, right? These little kind of bangs out and defined really well, so that it just gives him a little more personality, I think. And actually, when you go look at the finished one, Dale has a lot more of those little bangs than Chip does. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So there I'm fitting in those little bangs, if we want to call them. That's probably the easiest way to call them. And then once I have those in place like I like it, and to be fair, they probably could have moved over in between the eyes a little more, and it probably would have looked a little bit better, but I don't think in the end it makes a lot of difference. So anyway, I'm just filling in with the rest of the gold. Once I feel like I have all the fur done, then I'm going to go ahead and wrap it. I kind of went back and forth on deciding whether I was going to outline his hat. In the end, I decided not to outline it because I just wanted the white and red to be like the Christmas hat. I'm not 100% sure that was the best plan. If you decide you want to outline your white, I don't think it would look bad. I also think it looks fine not outlined, but at the same time, I don't know, either way would have worked, but I chose not to outline it. So once I outlined his, now this little piece, I somehow forgot to show y'all me making this little one piece of fur going up into his hat, and I had to outline it with the white so that you could see it. Obviously, it's outlined in black first, but I had to outline it with the white, small pieces of white, so that you could kind of get the real definition of that piece of stray fur that's coming up in the hat. Once I had that defined really well, then it's just a matter of building up the rest of the hat to kind of go along with the pattern. So this is just nothing but building extra pieces of white to go along with it. Now, I will say this. When I made Chip, I made the red part of the hat bigger just because I didn't 100% follow the pattern exactly, only because he ended up being a little bit bigger than the pattern. But I also liked it better because you'll see when you watch the Chip video, it has a little bit more red for the hat, and I think ultimately it looked better. Either way, I think this one looks cute, but I think having done the second one, I think it looks even cuter if you let a little bit more of the red show through. Here is where I made one of my mistakes as well. The spot where it's going to come straight out and have the pom-pom on it, there should have been a definition of the difference between the hat itself and then the fold of the little piece that sticks out. So if you do it, go ahead and cut a little piece in there and stick. I did maroon for Chip, or you can look at the Chip video and see how I did that one as well. And it just gives a little bit more definition once it's reduced on down. This one came out okay. It looked all right, but I think it looks better the other way. Now that I have all the red in place, this is just a matter of making the pom-pom. And to make the pom-pom, I just literally took little pieces of white and I just kept building it till I got the circle that I wanted. Hindsight's 20/20, and when I made Chip, I just went and made a round piece, then kind of cut a V out of it and shoved it into the red, which was so much easier. So I recommend you do it that way. But hey, you live and learn, right? You got to do it to learn the best ways to do it. Hindsight's 20/20. They always say that. But now that I have the whole piece himself finished, now I'm going to cover it with some translucent so that I can reduce him on down. The one thing I wanted to say about this is that normally I use my scrap clay, but the reason I didn't do it, and it's largely because of the white and the red that I did not outline it in black. I felt like I didn't want any other colors coming through when I had to cut it down to, usually I just make earrings and stuff like that with these, but when I cut it down, I didn't want any of the other colors coming through if I had used scrap clay. So this is what my process is for reducing it. Once I start doing that, then I'm not going to show you the whole thing because that's kind of boring. So here's the finished product. I'm going to cut into it like I usually do. This is the fun part or the scary part, depending. I think he came out adorable. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Have a great day, and please subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thank you.